Well, good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us tonight here at the 18th Annual Film by Bike. As you know, this is our final day. We're really excited. You could be watching live or later, but if you're watching us live, we're really excited to have you here for tonight's show. This is our Sunday night program, and we've modeled this specific time slot after our festival here in Portland. I'm Aileen Crotty. I am the founder and the festival director of Filmed by Bike. And usually for this festival, we would be at the beautiful, historic Hollywood Theater in Portland, Oregon. We are so thrilled to be online this year. This has opened up a world of opportunity to us. It has allowed us to bring in guests from all over the world, as we will be doing later on to kick off this program. It has also allowed us to bring these films to an audience who would not have seen Film by Bike otherwise. It has been so cool to see all of you chiming in on the chat window, and we really encourage you to use that chat window. If you don't see it, it could be that you're in full screen mode, so either use a separate device or minimize your screen. Elif's chiming in on the chat saying she likes my earrings. Thank you, Elif. They're Polish. I think you would like that. So really cool community of people chiming in on the chat window. It's so neat to hear where you're from, what you're thinking of the movies. We really encourage you to use that. You know, we love being in person. That is our jam. We are a film festival that's all about gathering and creating community. Since we don't have that right now as an option, we're doing our best to make these live streams a little bit of comfort to those of you all around the world who love film and love bikes. Now, this is our final day of programming, but all the other days are still available. You can buy tickets at filmbybike.org, and for the entire month of September, you'll be able to watch any of the programs, whether you were there live or you want to revisit them. You can always rewind, rewatch, and share them with friends. So we encourage you to let your friends know that tickets are available at filmedbybike.org. It has been a jam-packed weekend. We've had 2 programs of films every day, and yesterday we had a very cool workshop on Instagram Live with Courtney Williams, our advisor on our brand new High Viz Film Festival, celebrating the bicycle stories of Black, Indigenous, and people of color. And she presented an incredible Filmmaking 101 workshop live on Instagram. It was super cool. We loved it. Lots of great info was conveyed. One of the main features that was talked about is that there are many barriers to making a movie. Funding is obviously a huge barrier. And for people of color, especially in the United States here, funding is an even bigger barrier. So that's why we're so proud to be launching our new filmmaker grant program for people of color to tell their bicycle stories. And we want you to donate to this program. It's a crowd-funded program. We will definitely be awarding at least 2 grants this year. We're super proud about this. We're going to be awarding grants to at least 2 filmmakers. This is an ongoing program, so it's not just this year. We'll be doing this every year. And depending on the amount of funds that come in through our crowdfunding, that will determine how many great films we can help bring to reality. So see our website at filmbybike.org, and you can find out all the information you need on donating to that great program. Now, this is going to be a really fun night tonight. We're going to kick things off with Triumph Stories with Heart about how bicycles are changing lives. And if you were in the live earlier today on Instagram, you heard a little bit about this, but basically we started this program a few years ago because we started to get in all these films. One year, we got in all these films that were these incredible stories. They were emotional, they were important, they were just really great stories about how bikes are changing lives. But we started to look at our program and thought, where are we going to put all these films? We looked at Friday. Friday's our crazy night. You know, it's a Friday night audience. Didn't make sense. And we decided we would just carve out space and devote an entire program to these stories with heart about how bicycles are changing lives. And I gotta say, that first year that we did that, it was by far our most popular program. We have never had such an outpouring of comments and feedback from a program ever before. At the exit of the theater, people were coming up to me and grabbing my arm and saying, "Oh my gosh, that was amazing." People had tears in their eyes. I mean, it was powerful. You could feel it in the theater. So we've been continuing this themed program ever since, and we're so proud of our audience that this is the type of work they want to see, and we're so thankful to our global community of filmmakers that they're making these films. We can't think of a better way to incorporate these important stories into the festival than to give them their own home here in the Triumph program. I want to thank the Film by Bike team. We're small. We're small and mighty. Big ups to Melina Kumis, our films manager, who has been working with our global community of filmmakers and assembling our collection of films and helping advise on what should be included in the festival. Also to Mary Mueller, our festival assistant. She's been overseeing all sorts of projects for us this season, and she is our liaison to our volunteers as well. And a big ups to our volunteers. We haven't needed as many of you in action this year, but we sure do love you and appreciate you. Volunteers are at the heart of everything Film by Bike does. And when we're back at the theater for our annual festival, we are sure going to love to be with our volunteers in person again. So thank you all the Film by Bike volunteers over the years. This is year 18 for Film by Bike, and we definitely wouldn't be here if it weren't for the support of the Portland bicycle community and the Portland film community. It was a hope and a dream when we started Film by Bike the first year. We just sort of did it to see what happened, and here we are 18 years later. And it has definitely been the Portland community standing behind us that's allowed us to be here. So thank you all in Portland for supporting us, and big thank you to the Hollywood Theater here in Portland for supporting us over the years and being our festival home. Now, this is going to be a great program tonight, and we thought it would be fun to kick off the program by inviting on one of our guests who has a film, one of our filmmakers that has a film in the program. And as we talked about, being online now has allowed us to bring in guests from all over the world. So I'm so excited tonight to be joined by Bidit Roy, who's joining us from Pune, India. Bidit, so nice to see you. Thanks so much for joining me tonight.
Hey, hi, Aline.
Hi.
Hi.
So
Thank you
what?
so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And what time is it there?
It's quarter to seven,
Quarter
6:45 in the morning.
in the morning. So thank you for getting
Yeah,
up early to join me. I really appreciate it.
of course.
So
I'm an early riser. I'm an early
you
riser.
mentioned that when we scheduled this, so I really appreciate it. That's awesome. We're just so thrilled that we could bring you on. Now, Bidit was planning to try and come to Portland for the festival, right? Until everything
Right.
happened. So yeah. It would have been great to have you here, but we look forward to having you here in the future because this is not the first year that you've had a film in the festival. And we hope to see future work from you as well. So, yeah. So, tell us a little bit about the filmmaking work that you do in general.
Okay, so like since past 4 years, I've been involved in filming, such stories of people who are doing something very incredible, like in their own silos or behind the scenes, those kind of stories. So whenever I come across them, I feel like that as a filmmaker, we ought to bring out such things, for people to consume and even get inspired. And that's how most of my films which I've made over these past years are oriented around. And since I've been quite active in community welfare active things, so that also collaborates, that it just gels together. So I look for stories where people are very unnoticed and doing something unique or something inspiring. And yeah,
Why are you
so
drawn to this type of work?
I think it rises from my childhood because, like as a kid, I used to watch a lot of documentaries on the television, and then later on Nat Geo, Discovery, and all. Like, as I grew up, so I was already inclined to documentary filmmaking, and then I was quite sensitive to animals and the environment and planet Earth and all that stuff. Since I was a kid, so these two things kept me wired, in some way. And over these years, I got involved in a lot of active, initiatives. So that's how the community work started. And then my aunt, who actually stays in Los Angeles, she kind of pushed me, like she nudged me, to start making videos of what all crazy things you do with over your weekends, managing your full-time job and all. So I did that, and that kept me going, and after 4 years, I'm here. So that's how this journey began, from the community wealth activities to gradually going into filmmaking.
Oh,
And then I transitioned.
that's
So,
awesome.
so this.
So your film Everyday Cyclists Challenging Prejudice is in tonight's program. I'm really excited to share this with our audience. Can you tell us a little bit, just a quick overview of what this film is about?
Okay, so I'll just give you a short story of how I met this cyclist. Like I was relocating to a different neighborhood in Pune, and the people who were replacing me in that apartment, so they were kind of they were in his project, in his IT project. So they were his team members. So they told me about Devendra's this love for cycling and how he does it every day, and despite his physical condition. So when I met him, I just got really curious that how he does it, because it's when you look at the film you will realize that it's not very easy for him. And when I went with him throughout his bike trip, I realized that yes, this is a story to be told. And then straight away we started planning of how to get it done, all the interviews and the kind of story we want to share. So in short, this is how I met him, and I decided that I'll share this cycling story, because he is one of those people that who believes in everyday cycling, like as the name suggests. Because for him, if you don't cycle every day, then how you're going to stop global warming? So that's the core message he wants to propagate everywhere. So he keeps cycling and cycling. He has his own vehicles, but he doesn't use it. So it's like just lying around, and no one to ride it. He's always on his bike. So that got me very involved in this project. And then I put my heart and soul of whatever I could do to bring it out for the world.
Wow, that's incredible.
And I'm glad that Film by Bike again picked up my film.
Yeah.
And like straight away, I would say that this is the best film festival like I've ever come across, with all the communications and the way things are managed and curated. So, shout out to all the people who are involved in making this film festival amazing. Like no words to describe actually. So, thank you
Wow.
so much for doing this
Yeah.
for the cycling community and even for the documentary filmmakers, because filming such things are never easy. It's always a lot of challenges come across, and then you have to have a plan A, B, and C, and so forth. So yeah, so this is it.
Yeah, well, thank you as well. We would not have a film festival if it weren't for the great work of our filmmakers like you. And we know that a lot of you are making these films that have this specialty audience related to cycling, and other people can appreciate this film as well. But we know that when we're able to bring a film like yours into our home of Film by Bike, that this audience will really understand what you're discussing in the film, and it'll really speak to them on a personal level. So we just think that's really great to see. I'm curious to know what cycling is like in Pune.
So cycling, yeah, it's so this is a very wonderful place for cycling, because you have a lot of nature beauty around the city. Like you can go to several go for a bike and a hike together, or you can just go and enjoy the countryside and the beauty around the city. So cycling has picked up quite well, recently, and yeah, I could see a lot of people over the weekends, cycling everywhere in part of the town and city, and especially recreational cyclists. They travel long, go for long rides. But yeah, everyday cycling is little less. Mostly, people from well-to-do backgrounds are not much into the everyday cycling aspect. But otherwise, the cycling community is growing, and it has just picked up even more because of this pandemic. And glad that people are looking uh, now into the health aspect and the cycling, the environmental factors and all. So it is building up, and over this past 2 3 years, when I've observed, when I first started making that film, The Bicycle Maker, and now I'm working with a lot of cyclists, getting to know their stories and working on their projects and all. So it's good. Like I'm almost in touch with a lot of cyclists now.
Oh, that's great. I love that.
Yeah.
So when you're out there as a filmmaker, I appreciate you being on camera because I know you really prefer to be behind the camera. I know that about you. I'm curious
Right.
to know what are some of your favorite moments when you are shooting, when you're just there with your camera, looking through the lens and going through that process of documenting the subjects in your film. What are some of your favorite moments of that process?
I think the most favorite moments are uh, the basically when you meet a protagonist or a cyclist or anyone, like they are not very familiar with the camera, so there is always a to and fro thing happening, with people who are not accustomed to facing a camera, and that becomes little a challenge for me. But then I also enjoy the process because it's a transformation happening for both of us, because we also get to bond together well, and that person also opens up, and when you break that ice, that just brings out so much of emotions and story, and that is what helps me in getting the film to this level. And I'm so glad that people have opened up after a lot of time or whatever struggles we go across. But so that is what I look for, and I enjoy the most. Even though it takes time and efforts, but yeah, at the end, the product, whatever we get out of it, is something different when you open up with that person. When that person opens up with you. So that's it.
I think that really shines through in your work as well. And you're telling these important and wonderful stories. And I feel like that warmth that you bring to the process and in helping your subjects open up is really conveyed through your work. So thank you for that. It really makes your work what it is.
And what I do is I just use a small trick, that when people are not expecting the camera to be on, I just keep it on and let the audio record and the camera record whatever is happening, and that's when they are totally free, of expressing their story, and I use that for the film without them knowing it. So when I tell them that this is what I've got, and they are very surprised and shocked that okay, so all this was happening. So this is a quick, a tip for everyone who are facing such issues. Never keep never let the camera stop, and never let the audio device, switch off. Like always keep it running. Let the memory cards, get full, and keep replacing that. But when people realize that they are not being filmed and recorded, that's when they open up. So this is a nifty trick I use in a lot of my films, in almost all my films.
Yeah, I think that's great. Well, Vidit, it's been so great to have you tuning in early morning, Monday morning in Pune, in India. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I really appreciated the opportunity to talk with you more about your work, and I can't wait for our audience to watch your film tonight. So thank you so much
Right.
for joining us and for sharing your work with us over the years.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
So, folks, we've been talking with Bidit Roy. His film, Everyday Cyclist Challenging Prejudice, is in tonight's program. I'm going to jump right into the films because we do have a jam-packed program. We've got another program coming up at 7:30 this evening. And also, I want to let you know we'll have a brief intermission in the middle where you'll have a chance to reset. But without further ado, let's watch these incredible bike movies.
So if there's a car in front, we yell out car up. If there's a car in the back, we yell out car back. Car on the right, car right. Car on the left, car left. Stopping, slowing, and rolling. We want everyone in the club and on the ride to know what we're doing.
Okay, we're at the Salmon Street Fountain. As you guys know, I'd like to introduce you to Christine. She's running this event today. Christine, how often do you do this?
Well, we do this once a month at Salmon Fountain, first Saturday of every month, 1 p.m. We start the ride. We usually end about 4:30.
Okay, and this is every month, right?
Every month, and these are our notes of hope here that we put on the bridges.
Cool.
So if somebody that's in crisis, that comes from one of the local behavioral health centers across the river, is still in crisis, or somebody's just not having a good day, they see one of these notes and maybe it'll inspire them to call out for help.
That's awesome.
And it's called the Civil Unrest Bike Ride?
Civil Unrest Bicycle Club monthly ride.
Once every month. And what is that location we're at right now?
We are at Salmon Fountain in
Salmon
downtown
Street.
Portland, Nadio Parkway and Salmon Street.
Yeah! Thanks for coming, everybody. Yay!
Yay. Rolling.
Hey, this is Caleb. We're hanging out with him in the Civil Unrest Bike Ride here in downtown Portland. We're about to take off, but Caleb wants his voice heard. He has something to say. Hi.
Hey,
Thanks for talking to
Caleb.
us. Tell us all about it.
Hello, Portland.
I think that was the first leg. Was that the first leg? Would we call what we're doing legs? You brought us to the side. We're all parked for a minute to make sure the commander's making sure everybody's got it together. Everything worked out. Everything was safe. Everything.
Yeah, we have 2 legs, we have 2 arms, and we have a trunk and a head.
There you go.
So that's our ride.
It's the Civil Undressed Bike Club. Wait, no, what? Civil Undressed Bike Club?
Undressed.
Bicycle Club.
Oh, no.
Civil Unrest. No,
not
that's
Civil
another
Unrest.
ride. That's
Oh, okay.
that's
Sorry.
in June. We call that the Civil Unrest Undress.
Yeah!
So do we have like a first leg, like we did it dance, like?
I always wondered, when I look back at my life, what will I remember? What was my path?
Like, just give it a little pump with your feet into it, like all manual over it.
That's true.
Beautiful.
What did I contribute? What did I love? And how did that love return to me?
Vikings kept me young.
As I progressed, we progressed. As I grew, we grew.
Today, I wrote it. Nice.
And when I fell, somebody was there to pick me up. When I look back, what I remember are the women that were right there with me for the ride. And looking back, what will you remember?
Well, I think you should shower first because you stink the worst. These girls, when they're talking, they're so lost in it. It's hilarious. I think.
I want to ride bikes again.
You have to poop?
That's it.
Oh, my.
Let's try it with just the guard. My name's John Rattray. We're at Kelvin Grove Skate Park right now, and we're at the beginning of the Why So Sad Cycle Skate Adventure for 2019. It's the third year I've been organizing these little fundraising adventures to raise money for a couple of charities that do work around mental health, crisis intervention, and good stuff like that. So we're about to take off and ride to Leith via a couple of good places to skate along the way. The mission this year is all about landing a decent sad plant. And the first place we stopped was a little DIY spot in Glasgow near Mary Hill. It's not looking like it's a perfect spot for a sad plant, to be honest. We had a pretty fun quick roll on the quarter pipe there, but no sad plant potential. Not for me anyway. We jumped back on the bikes and onward we rolled, out into Scotland's notorious Central Belt, with all its potholes and angry, frustrated drivers. We followed the road towards Falkirk, where we knew that a decent concrete quarter pipe awaits us. There were pitfalls along the way, but we dealt with these trials and tribulations. We overcame and pedalled on. The weather was great. Some storm clouds swirled in the distance as they always do, but our spirits were high. The first big destination, the true dangling carrot that was fueling us as we cranked along the road, was not the skate park. We are middle-aged nerds. And the fact is that we were all excited to see the Falkirk wheel in action. A wonder of modern engineering, the Falkirk wheel is a giant steel Ferris wheel for barges. It negates the need for 7 locks, and lifting a barge takes no more energy than it does to boil 8 electric kettles. When we finally arrived at Falkirk Skate Park, the lads provided incredible moral support. What happened here was something that happens all too often in this world. The sad fact was that the sad plan I actually landed was not really a decent sad plan. The photograph that we shot of one of the attempts was pretty decent. so we know that a decent sad plant is at least possible. But the video evidence of the make here in Falkirk, not so much. At this stage of the game, I know my limits pretty well, and knew it was time to move on regardless.
I need to look at that.
After the park, we rode out through sunny Grangemouth and all its glorious industry. And finally, inevitably, the rain came. While we ride through the rain, it seems a reasonable time to bring up the fact that the reason I've been organising these fundraisers at all is because in 2011 my sister committed suicide, leaving her family and friends all completely shattered and reeling with seemingly difficult to answer questions. Then in May of 2019, beloved British pro skater Ben Reimers took his own life, to the shock of the entire global skate community. But it also sparked action and conversation. Sadly, the suicide rate in Scotland actually increased by 15% in 2018, after being in decline for a number of years. It really doesn't have to be this way. The Scottish Association for Mental Health is doing its best, but ultimately I think that at the community level we can do a lot just by learning and understanding and talking more about how we each deal with our own issues. I hope we can, at least. It's one of life's funny things. After the sky dumps on you, it shows you a beautiful rainbow. In his book Reasons to Stay Alive, Matt Haig quotes Haruki Murakami. Once the storm is over, you won't remember how you made it through, how you managed to survive. You won't even be sure, in fact, whether the storm is really over. But one thing is certain, when you come out of the storm, you won't be the same person who walked in. That's what this storm is all about.
I sent a picture of what I thought was a sad plant to Lance Mountain about 2 years ago. And he just sent me back a picture of someone from back in the day doing a legit sad plant, which I took to mean I hadn't done a legit sad plant. So that's the mission. We need to get the Lance Mountain approved sad plant. I used to go through these depressive periods when I was a teenager and then in my 20s and stuff. I didn't really know what it was. Didn't have words for it. And then figured it out later in life. But I remembered there was a book in my mum's house that I found, and it was a collection of poems by Wordsworth. And there was this line in one of the poems, and it went,
My apprehensions come in crowds. I dread the rustling of the grass. The very shadows of the clouds have power to shake me as they pass. That's always stuck with me as a good description of the huge, overwhelming, and seemingly sourceless from the big abyss feeling of major anxiety and depression. A couple of things happened during the course of this Why So Sad campaign. First, a ton of people sent me sad plants. There was Mike V, Jeff Grosso by Chris Ortiz, Jeff Grosso by Bryce Knight, Sam Beckett, Pete Who Does Lego Therapy, Ryan Monahan, John Crow, John Grand, Chris Cole, Chris Haslam, Andy Scott, Colin Adam, Shark Dog, Jordan Griffiths, Adam G by Aaron Johnson, Ben Broyd by Wig Warland, The Gons, Iris Skateboards, Keenan Witt by Taylor Ballard, Lewis Bell, Adam Hopkins, someone I can't remember, Patrick Guidotti, Dan Vanderland by Michael Burnett, Andy Adams by Kyle Kim, Andy McDonald by Jimmy Wilkins by Andy McDonald, Tony Hawk, Brank Shaw by Chris Sprinkle, Darren Navarrete by Dave Swift, Ben Rayburn by Dave Swift, Ben Rayburn by Jamie Owens, Rainey Barris by John Coulthard, Bucky Lassick, Going Switch, James Jarvis, Pen on Paper, Dane Berman, Rob Mertz by Morris Eady, Andre Young, aka The Giant by someone simply called Mike, Lance Mountain by John Humphreys, Chris Clicks Digital sent me ones of Nicky Guerrero, Matthew Wilcox, Dunzo and Rodney Mead, there was Ronnie Sandoval, Greg Baller sent one of Neil Blender, Ignacio Moresi sent one of Pato Sedman, someone sent one of Jackson Pills, and Patrick Backlund shot this one of Obby Taylor. I ended up talking with Obby for quite some time. He described his inner critic and the work it takes to wrestle with that negative creeping train of thought that can so effortlessly pick up steam in our minds. That conversation reminded me of the time I had in my early 20s after being in the States for the first time. A confluence of circumstances jostled me into a full-blown anxiety attack that lasted days and wrecked my ability to interact with the world. I came home to Scotland depressed, suicidal thoughts popping up in my head daily. Luckily, I had time and space to recover at my mum's house in Aberdeen. One thing that sticks in my memory of that time is when Shire called me.
I remember being on the phone with Rattray and just being like, Rattray, mate, I wish I could just climb inside your brain and just give you a little bit of Shire in there.
That idea always stuck with me, mainly because it's not possible to do that. Ultimately, we have to learn to look under the hood and learn what's driving our own loops for ourselves, which is easier said than done.
We just came up the Highway 47. We're at the missed turnoff heading towards Clatskanie. And we found Ryan Bobier on the side of the road with Brent Wick. It appears that his seat has gone all out of whack. Can he fix it?
But it does remind us that one of the bright sparks we need to hold on to is the fact that despite what our lying, depressed brain is telling us, we do in fact have friends and family who love us and want to support us and help us as best they can. In his book Waking Up Alive, Richard Heckler takes us through a number of case studies from his years working as a counsellor. The book focuses on people who've attempted suicide and luckily have failed to actually die. By way of that unfortunate confluence of circumstances, they'd been psychologically jostled by the universe all the way down into what he refers to as the suicidal trance. He identified 3 common themes that crop up in every single case: extreme family dysfunction, traumatic loss, and a sense of alienation, which we can also call a loss of social connections. The reason I bring these up is because when we're dealing with depression and anxiety, it can often feel like it comes from nowhere. Knowing that there are very specific roots that these feelings spring from gives us at least something tangible to work with, something concrete to look for in our own past, and a clearer set of clues to investigate when we're attempting to understand our own emotional triggers. Then at least we can try to develop the mental techniques to work through our crazy feelings of craziness and realize that we're all a bit crazy and that's okay. You're not alone in this, and crazier people than you have made it through the storm and come out stronger at the other end. Well, in Oregon, in August of 2019, 16 of us rode bikes from Hillsboro outside Portland up to Klatskanai, where there's this little miniature undercover vert ramp. It's super fun, and my mission to answer the question why so sad for myself and inspire you to do the same for yourself was by landing a Lance Mountain approved SAD plan. This one was okay. I sent it to Lance and he said, looking good. So I'm taking that as a win. All in, we've raised $1,500 for the Johns Hopkins Research, $1,500 for the Scottish Association for Mental Health, and $2,000 for grassroots in the southeast of England. Next up, there's a Real Skateboards Actions Realised project that's dropping in January of 2020. That money will help support the Ben Ramers Foundation, which has been set up to raise awareness and drive training in mental health first response in the skate community. Together we can build a better world for skateboarding.
Our aim is to really try to make cycling as inclusive as possible, because we really want everyone to think that cycling is something that is for them and to see themselves as cyclists. We really feel like everyone should have the opportunity to give it a go.
When I cycle, I feel liberated and free like a bird flying around. No barriers, no boundaries, no stress, everything behind me. Just looking forwards and enjoying it, enjoy the moment.
So I came back to cycling after childhood about 4 years ago. I hadn't cycled for about 15 years, and I remember thinking at the time it would have been amazing if there had been a group and some people who could have supported me. And so I decided with a couple of friends to set up Cycle Sisters to be that supportive, accessible group, just to really support Muslim women to be able to get going on their journeys with cycling.
I started cycling around 3-4 years ago. Myself, I was not confident at all to go on my own on the road. I started to build my confidence on the road. Then I bought a new bike because then I felt like I can do more, and then I can help the community as well. So then I did my ride leader training.
When I joined Cycle Sisters, the ride leaders inspired me through their encouragement to others, and they put me back into cycling, which I really love and enjoy, and I would like to do the same with others.
Because somebody helped me as a volunteer to progress me from kind of a scratch to where I can be a confident bike rider. So I should be helping other people as a volunteer, just doing something for the community, for Muslim women. And I feel good this way because it's just like, it's good for my health, and of course it's good to do for other people, like good for their health as well.
The plan is to reach out to different boroughs around London, different parts of the UK as well, and to try to find some cyclists who can volunteer, get involved with us, get them trained up as ride leaders, and be able to start new Cycle Sisters groups all around the country.
I got all my family now, my husband, my 5 children, all on the bikes, And I've got my own group. My family of 5 with my husband. We're all a bunch of cyclists now. And I'm the ride leader there, always.
Oh, we hope you guys are enjoying tonight's films. What an awesome collection of films. And again, a big thanks to Bidit Roy for being able to join us from Pune, India. It's Monday morning there, and we're so glad that he could join us to kick off this program. What a cool opportunity to talk to these guests from all over the world. Now, this is intermission. You've got about 6 minutes, a little less than that, to just take a little reset here before we move into the second half of the program. And we know we've got a big program for tonight. Lots of films that we're squeezing in here. So we want to make sure we leave plenty of time for that. But we also want to remind you guys that you can vote for your favorite film over here. I never get the finger thing right, so I'm glad I'm pointing in the correct direction here. Vote for your favorite film at filmbybite.org/vote. It's right there on our website, and we're really excited for you to weigh in on your favorite film. You know, every year we ask our audience to select their favorite film, and we never know which film's gonna win. We always think it's gonna be like this film or that film. We have our favorites as a staff team, our jury, we know they have their favorites, and it's always so fun to see who winds up winning in the Audience Choice Award. So please vote for your favorite film. On that page, it lists the deadline, and we will be announcing the winners next week. So we've got the Audience Choice Award, the Golden Helmet Award, which is the top prize of the festival. Our Music Award awards the filmmaker who makes the best use of independent music in their film. And we started this award years ago to encourage collaborations between musicians and filmmakers, and to really encourage filmmakers to use music that they had the rights to use in their films. And then we also have our local award. We couldn't resist adding in our local award to the award sphere that we have, because this is our way to thank the local audience. You know, when Film by Bike got started in the early 2000s, almost all the films that we showed were local films. And it's only been in the last handful of years that we've really done a 180, and most of our films come from outside the region. So we really wanted to have a nice give back to our local community. Why So Sad, 2 films ago, that was a local film, locally produced film with a Scottish accent, because that's what we do around here. And we love seeing more and more local films come in once again. So this year, when we hired our brand new films manager, Melina Kumis, who has done an amazing job on this year's festival, one of the things we charged her with was to really bolster our relationship with our local filmmaking community, to reconnect with our local filmmaking community. And we hired her specifically for many reasons of her talents, but also because she has great ties to the local Portland filmmaking community, and she is a filmmaker herself. And it really shows in this year's festival, just a great collection of local films. This year has been a whirlwind. We know the world is going through so much. We were poised and ready to release this program of films back in May at the beautiful, historic Hollywood Theater here in Portland, Oregon. Obviously, we've shifted online for reasons everybody knows, but we're so excited to be finally sharing these movies with you, because we've been sitting on them since April. We've had these programs ready to go. And now coming up tonight at 7:30, though, is a brand new program we did not anticipate. As soon as the pandemic hit and everyone started staying home to stay safe, people started going a little stir crazy. Cyclists weren't out there on their bikes outside. People weren't yet sure if it was safe to ride outside. Definitely not riding with other people. Things got weird. And the films got even weirder. We could not resist harnessing those films into a collection. We're calling it Quarantine Edition. Our films manager, Melina, put this together. She worked with a global community of filmmakers making weird films for this weird time. We really like to think of it as our snapshot of this strange moment, our own scrapbook in time. So if you haven't yet gotten your tickets for tonight, you can still do that at filmbybike.org, or if you're watching later, just know we have this additional program we'd love for you to tune into. It's coming up at 7:30 tonight, and we will have a filmmaker kicking off that program. So without further ado, we're going to jump right back into the films. I know we have a minute left on the intermission, but we've got a ton of films to go still. So we're going to jump back into that. Thanks everyone for chiming in on the chat window. Let us know where you're from and what you think of the film so far tonight. It's so great to see so many of you there. Carrie, great to see you there. Carrie and Carrie. Elif, Peter Kuntz, local, love to see you there. Thanks for coming on the Instagram live with me today. That was awesome. And I hope you guys are all enjoying the films. Without further ado, let's just jump back into things. You're going to love them. Enjoy the films.
Un compañero de trabajo de otra empresa en la que estaba llegó un día en bicicleta y le dije, oye, déjame, ¿me das chance de dar una vuelta en tu bici? Y me dijo, sí, claro. Y me dio una vuelta en el patio que teníamos ahí en la oficina y sentí, me dio una sensación padrísima otra vez, de sentir el aire, ¿no? El movimiento independiente que da la bicicleta, padrísimo. Y nada más de dar vuelta en el patio. Entonces dije, no, yo tengo que volver a tomar una bicicleta. Y después de 30 y tantos años, no sé, dije, tengo que volver a agarrar una bici.
Y yo desde pequeño siempre tuve bicicleta, toda mi vida tuve bicicleta. Después cuando fui creciendo, inclusive para irme a la preparatoria y la secundaria, me iba en bicicleta.
Bueno, mi primera aproximación fue mi pareja, o sea, Omar. Yo veía cómo disfrutaba la bicicleta, ¿no? Y yo de niña, pues, había manejado la bici, ¿no? Y me acuerdo que me gustaba mucho. ¿Qué pasó en el inter entre niña y adulta? No sé, pero perdí eso, ¿no? Y pues bueno, lo hacíamos antes de niños en lugares cerrados o más controlados. Ahora era pues intentarlo en la ciudad, ¿no? Entonces me apanicaba el saber si podía hacerlo y si podía manejarme en la ciudad. Y yo veía cómo él manejaba la bici y hacía piruetas y veía ese disfrute, ¿no? Y yo decía, es que yo quiero disfrutarlo como él. O sea, algún día lo voy a hacer.
Me acerqué a una tienda de bicicletas y dije, oye, fíjate que yo necesito una bicicleta pues mejor que esta, ¿no? Mira, la quiero para ir al trabajo y me gustaría ir a otro lado, pero la verdad es que no me gusta mucho solearme. Desde siempre no me gusta andar en el sol. Entonces él me dijo, ¿y por qué no vas con un grupo de ciclismo? Bueno, me explicó que había gente que rodaba de noche, básicamente en la ciudad y paseando por ella, ¿no?
Y pasaba por ahí seguido y los veía en la noche. Y siempre me llamó la atención verlos ahí como reunidos. Yo digo, ¿a qué van? ¿Manifestantes o qué hacen? ¿Talleres de mecánica para las bicis o algo? Y un día me paré y les pregunté que qué hacían y ellos me contaron que eran un grupo de ciclistas nocturnos.
Yo esperaba que dieran las 12 de la noche, que es cuando ya deja de circular el Metrobús, porque yo pensaba que era el único lugar seguro para andar en bicicleta en la ciudad. Un carril confinado, sin automóviles de por medio, y ahí me iba yo a salir cuando de repente vi pasar un grupo de ciclistas que venían todos con sus lucecitas, sus chalecos, todo, y yo así, ¡ey, ey, ey! Y literal los alcancé, me uní al grupo y me empezaron a platicar que todos los martes en la noche se reunían y me empezaron a integrar en la dinámica, y así fue como me integré, literal.
Yo también doy clases en la Universidad Panamericana y es en la noche. Y un día que dije, pues yo quiero llevarme la bici, quiero ver qué se siente llegar hasta la universidad con mi maletín y todo, ¿no? Y ese día llueve. Dije, no, espérate, esto sí no me lo esperaba. Entonces le pido a Omar, oye, ¿sabes qué? Pues la bici, etcétera, viene por mí, lo sube en el rack. Y le digo, tengo hambre. Entonces voy al Chaparrito. Le digo, pues unos tacos al Chaparrito. ¿Y cuál fue nuestra sorpresa? Porque veíamos que estábamos siempre muy solos, ¿no? O sea, nada más era él y yo, él y yo, él y yo. Y ahí vemos un montón de ciclistas, ¿no? Chavos con jerseys, con los cascos. Y entonces a partir de ahí que empezamos a conocer más grupos, ¿no? Y entonces conocemos lo de los miércoles, el de los jueves, y vimos que había un montón de grupos. Entonces dijimos, oye, esto está padrísimo.
Lo padre de las rodadas es que aparte de que haces un poco de ejercicio, de que te distraes, de que te relajas, de que te desestresas, es que aprendes muchas cosas de tu ciudad.
Me gustan mucho las salidas donde hay como otra actividad extra involucrada. Por ejemplo, alguna vez fuimos al Museo del Chocolate.
La ciudad se ve totalmente diferente. Hay lugares que a lo mejor en el día no irías, pero en la noche sí vas.
Por ejemplo, yo no conocía las barrancas de la zona de las lomas de Chapultepec, me pareció fenomenal porque había pasado por esa zona un montón de veces y cómo no te das el chance de conocer, de dar otros pasitos más o unas 3 rodadas más.
Pero la noche tiene en particular un poquito de magia, y es que no hay tantos automovilistas. Después de las 9:30, 10 de la noche hay avenidas que prácticamente están vacías, y esa sensación de tranquilidad de que tú vas rodando sin que te tengas que venir preocupando por los automovilistas, la verdad sí es agradable.
La ciudad es otra de noche que de día, en todos los sentidos, en el tránsito, en lo que ves, en la iluminación, y para mí, al menos en mi gusto, es mucho más hermosa de noche que de día.
El saber que puedes llegar a lugares que jamás te imaginaste, que además, o sea, puedes conocer el destino porque ya has ido, pero no es lo mismo. Te sabe diferente llegar en bici, después de 80, 100 kilómetros dices, lo logré, pese al cansancio, pese a lo que sea, la desvelada, lo que sea, y la recompensa que puede ser una comida rica o simplemente ya regresarte a descansar.
Pensaba yo que era muy sencillo subirte a la bicicleta y nada más y rodar. No se trata solamente de saber andar en bici, se trata también de saber las señales, de decir cómo tienes que parar, e incluso de venir bien acondicionada para que te miren, para que te observen, para que los carros no se te vayan encima.
Vas en grupo y te da confianza porque te puede pasar algo, se te puede ponchar la llanta, te van a ayudar, te enseñan inclusive, que eso te da herramientas para cuando vas solo lo puedas hacer. Como esto básico que te va a dar como confianza para andar en la ciudad, sí, yo creo que sí ayuda bastante.
Porque aunque es una actividad lúdica y un ejercicio y una distracción, también aprendemos a rodar. Yo mismo pulí técnicas de cómo andar en la ciudad estando en un grupo. Y eso me dio la seguridad de cada vez ir más fácilmente solo a otras cosas en la ciudad, como venir a trabajar.
Yo he visto la evolución desde el 2012 que yo inicié en el ciclismo urbano nocturno, a la fecha sí se han convertido en escuelas, porque las mismas personas que organizan los grupos les han enseñado a los ciclistas cómo sí deben de rodar en la ciudad y cómo no deben de rodar en la ciudad.
Y me enseñó muchísimo de conocimiento vial en bicicleta, ¿no? O sea, cómo realmente el ciclista, la verdad, estás muy al riesgo. Los autos, pues de alguna manera están un poquito más protegidos, el chofer, ¿no? En cambio el ciclista pues está todo expuesto Y entonces, como tú tienes que manejarte, como tú tienes que ser prudente en ese sentido y no cometer locuras, ¿no?
Porque cuando vamos a bordo de la bicicleta, pues no traemos bolsa de aire, no traemos defensas, no traemos carrocería. Yo soy la bolsa de aire, yo soy la defensa. Entonces, si un coche te pega, pues a lo mejor tú le rayas el coche, lo abollas, pero a ti te puedes fracturar un brazo, te puedes fracturar la clavícula, te puedes romper unas costillas o, en el peor de los casos, te mueres.
Pero nos ha tocado de todo, ¿eh? Nos ha tocado, sí, automovilistas que se desesperan y nos pitan y quieren rebasar. Vamos, yo siempre me he sentido muy segura con ellos en el aspecto de que como vamos en grupo cerrado, pues es más difícil, ¿sabes? Que un coche se te aviente y te lastime.
Porque como ciclistas urbanos lo que tratamos es de que la gente que no usa bicicleta nos voltee a ver, se dé cuenta que esto es padrísimo, pero que además respetamos, ¿no? O sea, siempre procuramos, el peatón siempre será primero, siempre tendrá la preferencia de la seguridad, y decirle a los coches, sin hablar con ellos, simplemente que vean nuestro orden. Generalmente el grupo va muy en orden, que podemos convivir ciclistas, peatones y automóviles o motocicletas o cualquier otro vehículo dentro de esta ciudad.
Yo creo que estamos en un espacio donde tenemos que aprender a convivir todos, porque estamos todos aquí, ¿no?
Soy de la idea de que entre más gente estemos allá afuera andando en bici, vamos a ser más visibles, vamos a hacer que las autoridades se den cuenta que hacen falta más circuitos para ciclistas, más seguridad.
Cuando utilizas un medio de transporte en una ciudad tan grande como esta y en cualquier otra ciudad, tienes derechos, pero también tienes obligaciones. Y nos dimos cuenta que en la medida que tú conozcas tus obligaciones, también puedes ejercer tus derechos. Entonces, lo que hacemos en el grupo desde hace algunos años es enseñarles a los ciclistas cuáles son sus derechos. Y las obligaciones de los ciclistas no distan mucho de las obligaciones de los peatones ni de las obligaciones de los automovilistas. Claro, los ciclistas tienen menos obligaciones que los automovilistas porque el vehículo en el que lo transportamos no es tan peligroso como un automóvil.
Otra cosa son las caídas por la misma oscuridad. Era una bajada ya saliendo de CEU para entrar a Miguel Ángel de Quevedo y me tocó un hoyo, no lo vi, instintivamente freno con los dos frenos izquierdo y derecho y la bici se me amarra, me doy la voltereta total y caigo en el pavimento. Pero llevaba lentes, entonces a mí me daba cosa partirme la nariz o romper los lentes. Caigo con la barbilla en el suelo y me abrí un poquito la barbilla y me acuerdo muy bien que lo primero que yo hice, así cuando ya caí, dije, creo que estoy entera, así de mi bicicleta está bien, ¿sabes?
De las primeras salidas que tuvimos, en una vuelta yo venía muy concentrada en el piso, no me doy cuenta que había una curva importante y derrapé, ¿no? O sea, en ese segundo dije, o me estampo en la banqueta o me dejo caer y cuál de los dos será menos grave, ¿no? Y pues me dejé caer. Y entonces esas caídas pequeñas, ¿no?, me hicieron entender cómo podía yo hacer un mejor desempeño en vueltas, cuando venía rápido, cómo hacerle, conocer mi bicicleta.
Es un vínculo que se hace del ciclista con su bicicleta. Yo creo que todos, o la gran mayoría de la gente que conozco, quiere mucho a su bici, porque te acomodas, te haces uno y la llegas a querer, porque te lleva a todos lados, te lleva donde tú quieras que te lleve, siempre. Y si la tienes bien cuidadita, no te deja nunca. Hasta donde tú puedas y tú llegues, ella va a estar contigo. Les ponemos nombre. La más grande que utilizo, la uso para las rodadas, es una de montaña grandota, así, todo el mundo dice que es un torote, y esa se llama bucéfalo, porque también es uno de los caballos famosos de la literatura.
Olivia se llamaba. Era muy bonita, muy ligera también porque, bueno, era una velocidad y para ir al trabajo era súper práctica. Justo una amiga muy querida me dijo que ella estaba vendiendo su bici y la fui a ver y me encantó. Entonces, de broma yo le puse Gloria a esta, porque era como la otra. Esa canción que dice, ¿no? Ahora te llamarás Gloria. Pero también es como pues la gloria, ¿no? Que te da salir y ser libre y sentir el aire en la cara y ser como feliz por esos cachitos o cachotes, depende de las rodadas que luego se avientan.
Entonces, cuando algo te da muchas satisfacciones y mucha felicidad, tiendes a tener un apego hacia esa bicicleta. En este caso, pues mi bicicleta se llama la bala de plata o Silver Bullet, porque pues además es pateada y para mí ha sido como una bala de plata, ha matado muchos de mis demonios. Literal, pedaleando no he perdido el equilibrio, entonces me ha ayudado mucho a mí. Y claro que le tengo mucho cariño a mi bicicleta, la cuido, la lavo, la tengo guardada en un lugar donde no se ensucie, donde no se moje, le pongo una lona. O sea, es como si fuera casi una extensión de mi persona.
A partir de ese día me prometí que iba a conocer mi bici, que iba yo a tener una relación con ella, ¿no? Porque es una proyección de nosotros. Para mí es una proyección mía, ¿no? Como me comporte yo, se comporta la bici. Si yo me comporto con miedo, vas a caerte, te va a pasar un accidente. Si te comportas con seguridad, la bici se comporta como tú, ¿no? Es mi bici.
Aprendí mucho a raíz de todo esta que yo venía toda depre y triste por muchas cosas personales. Agarrar la bici fue como encontrarme otra vez, fue como descubrir que hay cosas que me gustan y que puedo hacer. Y de repente pasa esto, me vuelvo a caer, metafórica y pues literalmente hablando, y nada, pues te paras y vuelves a treparte a la bici y sigues, porque pues así es esto.
Me ha enseñado también muchísimo que cuando estoy en el peor momento, con un dolor terrible o con lo que sea, y voy en la bici y nada más sigo moviéndome, ¿no? O sea, porque llega un momento en que el cuerpo, la verdad, se sigue moviendo y la mente es la que, no, están sus temas. Y cuando estoy ahí que digo, ya no aguanto, ya no voy a poder, no voy a subir, lo que sea, que a veces esos diálogos, y al mismo tiempo le digo a mi cuerpo, pues tú síguele dando, ¿no? A ver hasta dónde llegamos. Y cuando llego, digo, sí pude, ¿no? Y entonces eso, en mi propia vida, en mis temas personales, profesionales, cuando me siento en el no voy a poder, y digo, ay, pero si llegué a tal lugar, y si llegué a la montaña, y si subí acá, ¿cómo esto no lo voy a poder hacer? Cada día esas son como reafirmaciones de que se puede, pese a que te puedas sentir súper cansado, débil. Y por eso digo, sí, bueno, me aviento. Y eso la verdad nunca lo hubiera logrado. O bueno, creo que no lo hubiera logrado tan fácil si no hubiera tenido esta oportunidad de conocer el ciclismo de esta manera.
Para mí el ciclismo me ha permitido este relax, esta posibilidad de desestresarme. Yo cuando voy rodando en las calles y sobre todo en las noches, no eres exactamente nadie, eres parte de un grupo. E insisto, no soy una mujer que vaya por la vida queriendo, competir contra nadie, simplemente contra mis mismos temores, contra mi misma seguridad, porque andar en la calle también pues conlleva un reto.
Recorremos diferentes lugares de la Ciudad de México y vamos a pedalar, vamos a ejercer nuestro derecho de ocupar la vía como cualquier otro vehículo más que es la bicicleta.
Hola, mi nombre es Fernando Rosas, soy ingeniero civil y me dedico a la construcción. Actualmente me dedico básicamente a la construcción de edificios de departamentos y oficinas, en el área presupuestal, básicamente.
Bueno, yo soy Belén Martínez, soy química farmacéutica, bióloga de profesión, y la vida me llevó por diferentes caminos hasta estudiar negocios. Mi empresa se llama Caramel Tech y la misión de esta empresa es realmente ayudar a los inventores que hay en México a crear negocio a partir de sus tecnologías, ¿no?
Hola, yo soy Abril, soy diseñadora gráfica, me gusta mucho la fotografía, leer y últimamente traigo una pasión ahí con los métodos de infusión de té orientales. Trabajo en una agencia digital que consume pues la mayor parte de mi día.
Hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo están? Soy Alex Udiño. Yo me dedico a la consultoría, tengo ya más de 7 años dedicando a la consultoría. Mi nicho de mercado son los pequeños empresarios. Yo les ayudo a que tengan una mejor empresa, básicamente con 3 cosas, que es orden, administración y control.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Qué gusto saludarles. Yo me llamo Josefina Claudia Herrera y trabajo en Enfoque Noticias. Soy la coordinadora de noticias, pero también soy una ciclista.
My name is Megan Orsino. I am the owner of Hub City Cycles located in downtown Lafayette, Louisiana. I was always tinkering with any kind of thing I could get my hands on, like a phone. I would take apart a whole phone, put it back together. And so bikes just had a lot more cool parts on them. And plus you get to get greasy and use tools. I was a private investigator for like 4 years too, while I worked at a bike shop, and that was fun. But that's a lot of sitting in your truck and being alone. I like to work with people, and I like to help people out. And a lot of people who are on bicycles are the less fortunate, or they're trying to get somewhere. Like a bicycle is their means to another, like a new beginning. We're really evolving as a community to make the roads safer for people traveling on a bicycle, and we're trying to not only teach the driver but the cyclist, because it's a two-way street. Literally, like, you have to know the correct way to ride a bicycle on a street. You are pretty much a car, but you have a lane. Sometimes you don't have a lane. Sometimes you have a sidewalk. We're trying to inform people that that is out there, that we're here to help you be a better cyclist. There's always that woman's and a man's world. That's going to be till we die. I mean, it's just how our society is set up. I just think it's funny. A lot of times people come in, they're like, well, where's the guy? And I'm like, well, actually, this is my shop, and, you know, I can help you. I know a lot more than you think. It's always the same old story about where's the man. It's cool, though, because they get surprised, and they'll start respecting you after a while. And it's definitely just like the older generation. There's no hesitation from the new generation about it. They get it because they're brought up in a different time. There's a lot that the new generation is bringing forward. I mean, I'm also, I'm a lesbian, and I'm married to a woman. And so when I'm describing that to someone and they're older, oh, you can just see them kind of, what? Like, yeah, it's legal. So that's also a thing, you know? So you have to watch your P's and Q's, especially in the South. I mean, I don't get upset with my customers. I mean, I guess it's my job to teach them that it's not like you liked me before, you know? Just because I'm gay or a woman doesn't make any difference whatsoever. I'm just a human being in business. My childhood memory with bicycles goes back to when I was 4 years old. That was my first bike. I learned how to ride a bike, kind of became obsessed with them. Had to have a new bike every Christmas. So I guess one of my favorite memories is when I get a new bike, but I also got a new pair of jeans the same year. So, you know, you get all dressed up, you put your jeans on, you go hop on your bike, but it was a mountain bike. So, boy, I get out there, I get on my bike, and I'm going, and whoop, didn't make it far before my pant leg got caught and ripped my brand new pair of jeans. And I had to sit there and pull out that jean from my chain, and, you know, so yeah, I guess that's one of my favorite memories. My dad's old bike, Blackie, that was my favorite bike growing up, and I guess that's when I started fixing up bikes was with him. Like, I remember getting tires and tubes and, like, re-greasing things, a new chain, like cutting the chain and putting it on. And then from there, I went to college, and I needed a way to get to school a lot easier, and bikes definitely was the way to go. And then I got really involved of, like, going and get bikes for, like, really cheap from Goodwill or whatever, and fixing them up. And that's when I got into Schwinn bikes and old classic bikes, and now I have a bike museum pretty much hanging from my ceiling, which is like a dream, you know? My dream.
मैं डेली घर से वाकड़ जाता था और वाकड़ से रिटर्न आता था। जब भी मैं वाकड़ की तरफ जाता था तो मुझे सबसे पहला चैलेंज मेरा वाकड़ ब्रिज लगता था। मैं उसे काफ़ी नोटिस करता था कि एक दिन मुझे इसे क्रॉस करना है। काफ़ी प्रैक्टिस मैंने की उसके लिए, और फिर एक दिन मैंने डिसाइड किया कि आज मैं कैसे भी इस वाकड़ ब्रिज को क्रॉस करूँगा, और मैंने फर्स्ट अटैम्प्ट में ही वाकड़ ब्रिज क्रॉस कर दिया और मुझे बहुत खुशी हुई। अब मुझे कॉन्फिडेंस आ गया था कि मैं ऑफिस साइकिल से पहुंच पाऊंगा। ऐसे ही प्रैक्टिस करते करते मुझे 3-4 मंथ्स लगे ऑफिस पहुंचने के लिए। आई एम देवेंद्र यादव, मैं नागपुर से बिलोंग करता हूं। जब मैं 9th में था मैंने साइकिल चलाना सीखा, और साइकिल चलाना मेरे लिए एक ड्रीम था। मैं अक्सर सिस्टर के पीछे बैठ के जाता था ट्यूशन में या स्कूल में। उस टाइम मैं सोचता रहता था कि कोई ऐसा दिन आएगा जब मैं मेरी सिस्टर को पीछे बिठाऊंगा। मुझे अभी भी याद है, मैं रात को 2 बजे तक प्रैक्टिस किया था, और मेरे सिस्टर और ब्रदर और मेरे कज़िन्स लोगों ने बहुत हेल्प करी थी। मैं सारी रात भर वो मेरे साथ साइकिल की प्रैक्टिस करवाते थे मुझे। 2016 में एक बार मैं ऑफिस से रिटर्न आ रहा था और मैंने देखा कि एक ओल्ड जेंटलमैन साइकिल से आ रहा है। तो मेरे अंदर एकदम से थॉट आया कि अगर वो चला सकता तो मैं क्यों नहीं चला सकता हूँ। बहुत सारे बेनिफिट है साइकिल चलाने के, फिज़िकल बेनिफिट है, प्लस एनवायरनमेंट के लिए भी है। नो पॉल्यूशन, नो फ्यूल एक्सपेंसेस। उसके बाद मैंने डिसाइड किया कि मैं अब साइकिल चलाऊँगा। साइकिल एक ऐसा स्पोर्ट्स भी है कि जिसमें आप सिंगल भी जा सकते हो। कई बार तो मैं ऐसे बोर होता हूँ तो मैं साइकिल से बात करता हूँ कि चलो घूम के आते हैं, और मैं बहुत बार राइड पे निकल जाता हूँ। करीबन हाफ ऑफ द पुणे मैं साइकिल से देखा है मैंने। सब ग्लोबल वार्मिंग के बारे में बात करते हैं, बट कोई भी ये नहीं सोचता है कि इसे कैसे दूर किया जाए। वेरी लेस पीपल आर कॉन्सेंट्रेटिंग एंड वर्किंग ऑन दिस। हाँ, थोड़े बहुत चैलेंज आते हैं साइकिल चलाने में, जैसे ट्रैफिक में काफ़ी दिक्कत होती है। इट्स ओके, कल एटलीस्ट वी आर डूइंग समथिंग फॉर आवर प्लैनेट, सो ऑल दीज आर स्मॉल थिंग्स इन फ्रंट ऑफ दैट। साइकिल चलाए हुए मुझे बहुत टाइम हो गया था, तो मैंने सिक्योरिटी गार्ड की साइकिल लिया और मैं ट्राई किया। मुझे याद है अभी भी कि 200 मीटर ही मैंने चलाया था, एंड आई गॉट अ कॉन्फिडेंस कि मैं अभी भी चला सकता हूँ। 2017 में मैंने नई साइकिल परचेज़ कर ली थी और मैं बहुत एक्साइटेड था उस मोमेंट पे। मैं अर्ली मॉर्निंग उठ के साइकिल की प्रैक्टिस करने लगा। पहले 5 किलोमीटर देन 10 किलोमीटर तक चलाने लग गया था, बट एट द सेम मोमेंट्स मुझे नी पेन चालू हो गया था। एंड मैं फिजियोथेरेपी से जाके कंसल्ट किया, एंड मैंने साथ में ये भी बताया कि मुझे ऑफिस साइकिल चला के जाना है। दैट इज़ अराउंड 13 किलोमीटर फ्रॉम माई होम। एकदम से उन्होंने बोला कि कल से साइकिल नहीं चलाओगे। ये सुन के मैं डिसअपॉइंट हो गया, क्योंकि साइकिल ही चलाना मेरा मेन एम था। जब मैंने साइकिल परचेज़ करने का सोचा तो लोग सपोर्ट नहीं कर रहे थे मुझे। काफ़ी एग्जांपल मैंने भी देखे थे और उन्होंने भी बताया कि 1 महीना चलाते हैं और पार्किंग में खड़ी रहती है। बट मैंने इंटरनली सेट करके रखा था कि मुझे ऑफिस जाना है साइकिल से, प्लस मुझे डेली डे टू डे एक्टिविटीज़ में यूज़ करनी है साइकिल। बचपन में मेरे साथ एक इंसिडेंट हो गया था, जिसकी वजह से मेरा राइट लेग का स्ट्रेंथ कम हो गई थी। एज़ कम्पेयर टू नॉर्मल पर्सन अभी भी स्ट्रेंथ 30 to 40% ही है मेरे राइट साइड पे। अगर मैं कर सकता हूँ तो आप क्यों नहीं?
A bike is it's a chain-propelled machine. Basically, it just uses the power that you already have as a human being, channeled through a 2 or more wheeled device, and allows you to zip along at incredible speeds with low resistance. It just feels wonderful. You know, you feel a sort of sense of freedom and escape from everyday troubles and confines that are hard to find in other ways.
You can't help but smile once you've been on the minute. You come off and you're like, ah, I've done that. That was great.
The wee baby's sitting right behind me. And it's a beauty. I enjoy it very much. On days that I have the motivation to actually get out and use it.
Cycling helps people in a number of ways. At the most basic level, we can get to places quickly, but also it gives us a sense of freedom, and so it's really great for mental health.
They gifted me this lovely bike back in January, I think, and we've been inseparable ever since, basically. I went through a quite traumatic bereavement in 2017. I lost my best friend, who's my cousin. We're really very close, closer than it's possible to imagine unless you've seen us together, and it was really a really difficult time. It still is. I didn't ever really get a bike. I couldn't really afford one, and when I came up here I couldn't really afford one either, but I knew getting out and about was going to help with my own mental health, which had been suffering quite a lot. I just thought, you know what, I'll give it a go, and then that just started what feels like a kind of new chapter for me anyway. The idea of the bike just seemed like a light bulb moment, really. I was kind of like, why did I not think of this before? It doesn't really matter what mood I'm in at the start, I always feel a lot better when I come off the bike. It's so simple, but it really is fantastic.
Bikes have a market effect on people. It's physical, it's mental, it's spiritual, and the thing is, it's so accessible, can be in your hall, in your shed, you can hop straight on it, unlike other forms of escape.
When drugs and drink kicked in, a lot of things stopped. I was just into all sports, you know, and I'd always be on these kids, I'll never smoke, I'll never do this, but it doesn't always work out like that, you know. I'm in the process of an 18-month detox from probably my biggest addiction, benzos, Valium, and that's what I'm in the process of now, so it's a struggle, and where we live down here, there is temptation every second, third doorstep, you know, it's never far away, so it's staying away from that and living clean. It's a tool, you know. It goes with the meetings we go to, it goes with kind of support workers, CPNs, and our bikes, you know. So it's therapy in its own way, you know. You know, it's days like today that if you weren't here, we'd be out cycling. So you're taking up my time now, I'm wanting to go out on that bloody bike.
We've really helped people open up their freedom to roam and explore, save people money on travel costs, given people an accessible form of exercise, and in some cases got people pedaling that might have guessed that they would never do it again.
I've got ME and fibromyalgia, which affects my entire body. It also affects my mind and things like that as well.
The illness I've got is cervical myelitis, which affects the messages from my brain to my legs. And the worst thing is the balance and the strength in them. And there was absolutely no way that I could ever manage a normal bike. And it wasn't until Angela got her bike that, and she egged me on to try it, that I realised with the e-bike that made such a difference. And I was able to get going again.
I'd always wanted to try an e-bike because with my ME and fibro, there's just no way I would have ever been able to cycle a normal bike because it had just been too much energy and what have you. But the expense of an e-bike would have just been out of my reach. Just so delighted that, wow, I can go out and actually do something that makes you feel a bit better about yourself as well. So.
Yeah, and obviously getting back out together again,
Yeah.
Which we haven't been able to do for years and years.
Yeah.
It's just freedom, isn't it?
And once you've been out in it, you strive to go out again.
Yeah.
So
It makes a difference not just to your physical self, but it also makes a difference to your outlook and your mental self. You know, there's no getting away from it. You know what they say, let the bike take the strain.
Oh, there
no,
you go.
that's a train.
That's a train. Well, you could do both, I suppose. Oh.
Ah,
well. So no two stories are the same. It's fascinating, really fascinating.
All right, give it a try. Remember, stand up, heavy feet, heavy feet, heavy, heavy, heavy.
Ooh. When you flip over the handlebars for the first time, it is something you'll think about for the rest of your life. By taking the guys out who they were afraid to ride around, they opened up and they blossomed to be the person that they've always been.
You know, I've been riding about 18 years, and just to see where it's at now has been a dream of mine.
I feel like my biggest goal is to get people to believe in themselves.
Run like
Ride Like a Girl inspires, motivates, and educates women. We teach everything from basic fundamentals on different skill levels all the way up to advanced BMX as well as advanced mountain biking.
Throw like a girl was supposedly an insult. Ride like a girl, we want to turn that around and turn it into an awesome positive thing, meaning you can kick ass on a bike.
Some boys just let you ride, but they don't really be that supportive to you.
Nice. Oh, that was awesome!
The girls just cheer you on, and it's just super nice.
Pull up just a little. If this thing falls, it's not a big deal, but it's just to set a bar for you to try to remember to go up and over.
Nice! Push with your feet!
We help push each other, we're supportive, and that's what makes these all-women clinics really great.
Yeah, here we go, get those knees wide. Yeah, there we go. Woo. And look through that turn, get those eyes up.
You notice that they can take a different perspective into their cycling and go further than they think they can go.
Most people are very capable and they don't realize it.
We're all different levels in this class, and I just want to help everyone get through things as safe as possible.
So it's 3 steps. Neutral, shoot your hips back, and then come back to neutral.
But we're gonna forget doing that. When the fear is delivered to you, it'll stick until you're ready to overcome it. Ride over that jump and stop letting it tell you that you can't do it.
Okay.
Take a pedal. Fear's a really crazy thing. Nice. Think about what's something that you could get out of today.
I'm gonna crank up that rail.
You're leaned weird.
Yeah.
So try to do it like you're gonna pull it.
Oh, that was awesome!
Not everyone has a riding buddy.
Look at that, I can see your face. You're beautiful.
It feels really good to give that back.
And it's just amazing to ride with other women. Today was the most amazing day I've had in my life. I learned how to jump in the woods.
Sick! Thanks, Sarah.
At first I was absolutely terrified, but then I just looked at that thing, sent it, and it actually was pretty fun.
That's good. There you go.
What does that mean to you, to ride like a girl?
Ride as hard as you can and just ride for you.
you say, nothing in your brain looks like mine. Don't waste my time, please don't waste my time. I ain't got time. Don't care what you say, nothing in